After getting the platinum in Sleeping Dogs, I decided to continue my little mini series of getting the platinum in a bunch of different GTA-like games by moving on to what I consider the funnier little brother to the GTA series, Saints Row. No, no, not you, Saints Row 2. No matter how much I wish that were the case, you don't have trophies, but this one does. Being released August 23rd, 2022 and getting 3 story-based DLC expansions, plus a handful of cosmetic DLC, let's dive into the city of Santo Ileso, where instead of psychopathic gun-toting Johnny Gat, former bohemian hippie turned reality TV star and director of the Secret Service Shondi, and fired FBI agent turned hacker and then presidential press secretary Kinsey Kensington, we get 3 new main characters aside from the boss that we will see if they live up to the stature that those 3 monoliths left behind. So let's don our purple outfits, cock our pistols, and walk into the crime life. The game opens up at the Saints HQ where a giant party is being thrown and see a man named Antonio walking up to the door to have a meeting with the bosses while holding a briefcase full of money. As he's led through the building, we see the party in full swing and all the guests enjoying themselves until he gets to the boss's door, and here I get to make my character. Once I finish that, I walk out of my room and thank Antonio for coming to his senses, but tell him that we'll talk business later because I'm having a party right now. After leaving Antonio, I make a video on my phone with the other founders of the Saints saying this:
"We got a party going on, so I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. Fuck the Panteros, fuck the Idols, fuck Marshall, the Saints are here to stay, baby. So, if you know how to shoot a gun, or if you're broke and want to learn how, swing by the church. We'll be waiting for you."
But as the screen pulls away from the video, my character falls on the phone questioning someone, then see my body getting dragged off and dumped into a shallow grave, and then buried alive. That's right, people, we're starting the game in media res. The game flashbacks a few months to where I'm watching the orientation video for my current job being a shock trooper for a company called Marshall. But I'm stopped by the leader of the platoon, Gwen, and she then proceeds to give the brief on what we're traveling to do, which is to capture a person called the Nawali. And soon after that briefing, we all arrive at the location of the mission. After shooting my way to the saloon where the Nawali is held up, I walk in to confront and arrest him, but he throws a knife at me as a distraction and makes a run for it. I leave the saloon and see the Nawali hijack a VTOL and me trying to secure a bonus, throw a hook onto it, and get dragged along for the craziest off-brand roller coaster ride imaginable. I get into a quick fight with the Nawali on the VTOL, and during it I'm able to bring the VTOL down and get the Nawali captured and pop my first trophy of the game. After getting refreshed from the mission, Gwen brings me my supposed performance bonus, but it's empty, and she asserts that I need to listen to orders or I should find a new job. I make my way home where I meet up with the 3 roommates, Kevin, Eli, and Nina, and as we all catch up on how my first day went, the topic of rent is brought up and how we don't have enough for it, so we should all just go rob a payday loan building for what we're missing, so we head out to get it done. Once we arrive, we put a gun to the guard's head to make him leave, then walk in and Kev punches out the clerk. Then Eli jumps the counter and opens the safe and bags up all the money. And after leaving the loan place, everyone gets into their cars and agrees to meet back at the apartment. After losing the cops that were tailing me, I make it to where my switch car would be and open the style app and pop a trophy for doing it. As I try to get to my other car, I find that it had been stripped by members of a gang called Los Panteros. So I take them out, hop on a bike and start driving away, but get caught by some cops who set up a spike strip on the bridge. But as I'm getting surrounded at gunpoint by the cops, Nina comes to my rescue with some amazing driving skill.
You called for a ride?
Gwen calls and tells me that she has my next job, which is to track a Los Panteros convoy. Unfortunately, the plan goes awry and I end up jumping from car rooftops and trucks that are part of the convoy until I again cause mass destruction by having the truck crash and dump all its cargo. And after the rest of the Marshall arrived to load up the cargo, Gwen introduces me to Atticus Marshall, and we also see Antonio again, or technically speaking, for the first time. And Atticus gives me the job of being the head guard at Antonio's museum, which obviously I accept. JR gives me a call asking me to meet him because he is having issues with the idols. So I start making my way there by hijacking a car, but end up popping a trophy by getting pulled out of the very same car. But after handling that, I make it to JR's new auto garage and he tells me that the car parts he ordered got stolen by some idols and asks if I can get the shipment back. I call Kev since he is part of the idols and he tells me that the other idols probably brought the parts to a camp of theirs, so I had to go check it out. And after talking with a few different people, I managed to get the info on the parts. I start a fight with the guards around the shipment, and after taking them out, steal one of their cars and start towing the parts back to the garage. And after clearing out the last of the idols around the garage, I talk to JR, he thanks me, and that cements myself as a business partner of JR's. I then make it to the museum to be in my security detail, and after talking to the other guards to make sure everything is looking good, I head out to the floor to mingle and make sure everything is okay. But then Nina calls me and says that the Panteros are going to crash the gala, and as soon as I ask when, they burst through the wall of the museum, and obviously a shootout begins. As I make my way to the Codex as Curate, the idols join the party, so now the museum has turned into a war zone. I make it to the Codex and start to escort it to a safe while fighting through the 2 warring gangs. While escorting it, I get blown through the floor by an idol grenade while the Codex hovers above me on the other floor. So I have to make my way back to it. I get to the vault, and after shooting through a few waves of Panteros, I save Mira Star, but then get fired by Atticus because the idols were able to steal the Codex, and then I pop another trophy. Skip forward to me sulking in my bed and then slothing on the couch with Nina buying knives, but that is until Sergio texts all the Panteros, which includes Nina, saying that they will be attacking the Idols party to get the Codex back, which makes me and Nina jump up because Kev and Eli are at that party. The Panteros walk in opening fire and Eli ends up getting shot in the mayhem, and as the gunfights continue to escalate, one of the Idol collectives show up and tries to make Kev shoot me and Nina, but instead Kev takes a shot on the collective, and after defeating the collective and stealing a truck, we make our escape, but not before blowing up a bunch of Panteros that were chasing after us. Once we get to the apartment, Nina and Kev begin ghetto surgery and we discuss what the next moves are, and I say we should start our own criminal empire, and everyone agrees to the plan. The next day, before beginning to walk down the road to a gang boss, I pop a trophy for customizing a weapon. Then me and the other roommates have a meeting about what we need for an aspiring empire, and the first thing we decide on is a new place of operations. And Nina finds an old abandoned church, so we head out to see it, and once arriving at the church, we see that the guy who owns the church right now isn't restoring it, but destroying it. So I trash the place with the front loader, and after taking out the security that arrived to the site, the group decides to just kidnap the guy that owns the deed and make him sell it to us, and after hijacking the car and driving around doing a bunch of reckless maneuvers, he finally hands over not just the deed, but his entire briefcase and hops out of the car. And as I make it into the church, the idols show up and give us the worst housewarming gift ever, and once we clear out the last of the idols, Nina flips a board showing us what will become the logo for the gang, and as I look at a mural of an angel, I give the name The Saints to the gang, and once the mission ends, I pop a trophy. Now with the church secured, Kev says we need to start decorating, so we head out to take a picture of a cannon, the first of the 100 or so collectibles in the game, which we then head back to the church to place down, and with that mission done, it sets me down the road to eventually get the trophy related to it. Eli calls a meeting of the founders and says we need to start making connections throughout the city so we can spread our reach further, so I head to talk to JR to see if he wants to join not just me, but the Saints as a whole, and he says he will if I take care of his Panteros problem, so after shooting through a few groups, I end up stealing one of their monster trucks and destroying a bunch of their car parts. And after sending that message, I head back to JR and he agrees to join up with the Saints. I arrive back at the church and Eli says that not only was the deed to the church in the briefcase, but also the deeds to a bunch of vacant lots that will allow us to put different businesses for wherever we want. And after placing my first venue, I pop a trophy for it. I start making my way to the church when Nina calls saying that the Pantero stole her project car, meaning the one she used to save me earlier in the game. So once getting there, we head out to where the Panteros could have her car. After going to a few different spots, we finally find Sergio and we were unable to stop him from pushing Nina's car into the quarry, and Nina vows to fuck up Sergio's life, a vow I can get behind, honestly.
Nah, if Sergio's gonna fuck with my family, I'm gonna fuck with his.
The next day, Nina calls me saying that she knows how to get back at Sergio, but we have to get into the Scorpion factory, which is Pantero's HQ. So I go to meet up with her to hash out a plan, and once I meet her, she says that we are going to blow up the forge, the thing that lets the Panteros soup up their cars. So we steal an attack helicopter and head to the factory. After causing havoc outside, we go into the factory and start destroying things inside, and after buying her some time to load a nitrous tank in Sergio's truck, she drives it into the mouth of the forge, causing the building to start to explode, and we make our getaway in one of the cars in the factory. Later, I call up Kevin to see if he wants to have movie night, but as he is leaving the gym, he gets jumped by some idols as well as a collective member. And after waking up and noticing that no one has seen Kev, I head out to find him, and while calling his phone, an idol answers and says that he's a little tied up at the moment, which I take to mean a sexual thing, but I make it to the saloon that one of his exes frequents, and I start a literal bar fight that then escalated to a shootout. I then steal a porta potty and use it to destroy the camp the idols made, and during the rampage, I pop a trophy. And once I do enough destruction, the idol trapped in the porta potty spills that Kevin is at the Santo Ileso sign. So I get there, and as I make my way up, I have to disarm bombs that have been set up, but I finally make it to the top and free Kev, then wingsuit down to a nearby idol mansion to start the revenge tour, and end it just as fast as it started by adding another collective member's helmet to my collection. After getting my friends situated with the X gangs, it was time to start recruiting more personnel, and Kevin says I should enter the murder circus on Boot Hill, hosted by Doc Ketchum. This is live stream and everyone watches it. So I head to the docks to make my way over to Boot Hill to compete.
Welcome to Boot Hill, where you are the show. Murder your way through my playground while the world watches in real time. I have one rule: leave your weapons behind, killer. Everything you need will be provided. It's kill or be killed, survival of the fittest. Slay your way to the top and become the Boot Hill champion. Hope you said goodbye to your mama, because it's showtime!
And I managed to not only survive, but win the murder circus. And with that win, the Saints are able to secure personnel. And as the other founders are watching the stream, Eli's phone is ringing nonstop from people wanting to join. We interrupt your regularly scheduled platinum video to give you this DLC segment, because after becoming champion, Doc Ketchum reestablishes the murder circus sometime later, and 4 new competitors decided to throw their hat in the ring to try to make a name for themselves.
Welcome back to Doc Ketchum's Murder Circus, exclusively at Boot Hill. More killing, more carnage, more kinetic competition in the classic Ketchum cut. Our contestants must now fight through a gauntlet of deadly combat arenas, each imbued with an exciting flavor of the the dock's special sauce. They can collect my boot coins to spend at the company store, and buy a little edge to keep the competition and maybe the Grim Reaper at bay. It's gonna be action, grit, and a whole lot of moxie. Now let's get this show on the road.
This DLC only has 6 trophies, so I'm going to let each get their introduction from Doc and then talk about them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Santo Ileso royalty gracing our stage. Roll out the red carpet as the lost heir to Los Panteros tries her luck at the murder circus. Consuela Reyes!
So Consuela is loaded with a double-barrel sawed-off shotgun and literal fire resistance, and I use her to start my journey through this roguelite DLC. And it goes as you can expect. Early runs are somewhat difficult, but get easier as we level up the competitor and buy more perks. And eventually I get her to max level and unlock her main rival, which is all the other factions of the game teaming up. And after winning, I pop her rival trophy. But before running the next competitor, I pop a trophy for having a fully upgraded weapon.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, all rise for the armored arbiter, the verdict vigilante, the magistrate of mayhem, the honorable and horrifically homicidal, if I do say so myself, Chief Justice!
Chief Justice is at the circus to get revenge for his family against the skeleton crew, and continuing the pattern, I become champ and pop the trophy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know how this next competitor got here. Self-described as 4-time employee of the month, the ultimate underdog and murder circus superfan. Put your hands together for some guy.
Daniel Lee was able to prove himself and pop the trophy for defeating Shot Dog.
You can run, but you can't hide from our next contestant. A sharpshooting true blue blood intent on hunting the most dangerous game. Set your sights on Artemis Van de Kugel!
And then finally, Artemis brought the final 3 trophies of the DLC. The first for getting the last of the 4 competitors to level 5. The second of the 3 brought in some Saints Row nostalgia by having his rival be the notorious Professor Genki, and I pop a trophy for defeating him by shooting him in the groin. And finally, the last trophy for defeating Artemis's rival. Now back to our regularly scheduled main story overview, where we are all sitting around for a game night talking about how we are planning to pay all our new recruits, and Nina suggests robbing a train that brings money in and out of Santo Ileso. But we will need some more muscles, so I suggest breaking out the Nawale, and everyone agrees. So Nina flies me by helicopter to the prison, and I wingsuit into it. And after managing not to blow my cover, I make it to the Nawale's cell, and after releasing him, we end up starting a mass riot in the prison, so we have to fight our way out. After stealing a Marshall turret car, me and the Nawale make it out to freedom and then get some semi-real food into the guy before he leaves and says to call him when we're ready for the train heist. Later in the day, Eli calls me saying that we have a team meeting about the train heist and that it's my turn to get the donut. But as I'm waiting in line, a random guy starts shooting at me, and more starts showing up after that, and while I'm on the phone with Kev, he informs me that I'm on the Wanted app. I hold my own until Kev arrives, and he starts driving me to the creators of the Wanted app because he's friends with them. And once arriving, I threaten to put them on the app if they didn't take me off it, and while they work, I hold off and survive my amateur bounty hunters. Once Hawk and Claw get me off the app, the hunters stop attacking, and then I tell them both that the Saints will be taking ownership of the Wanted app. The next day, I called the Nawale to meet at the church and first apologize for not calling him sooner, but explain that I had to deal with people trying to kill me. I walk him inside and introduce him to the rest of the members, and once that is done, I tell him that instead of planning the heist, we will be doing some team building exercise since the Nawale doesn't really know any of us. But every time we try to do one of the group's activities, it just turned into a shootout with a rival faction. During one of the bonding fights, he managed to acquire some Marshall hover bikes, and to end the team building day, then Wally says he wants to go to his weapons cache and take out all the factions that have been hassling us today. A few days later, it's time for the heist, and using the hover bikes we acquired from the bonding day, I get dropped off on the train by Nina and start shooting my way through. As I progress, Panteros show up to try to take the train for themselves, and as I get closer to the front of the train, Sergio jumps from a helicopter to try to take me out, but then Wale shows up and puts an end to him permanently. I then steal a tank that was on the train and start destroying Marshall vehicles that were being transported, and as per usual, after I cause mass destruction, the train ends up derailing and I jump off the train, get saved by the Nawale on a hover bike. After making it back to the church with the money, I give the Nawale a gold bar for his cut of the heist.
Thanks for your help.
The next day, Eli calls a meeting to figure out how the Saints can get exposure since the death of Sergio was being lauded as a kill of the Nawale, and the Saints had nothing to do with any of the events, so Kev suggests we steal the codex from the idols. Me and Kev storm the idols' boathouse, and after shooting through idols, I make it to the vault, but the codex that's there is a fake and rigged to explode. After making it out, I grab a jet ski and head to the yacht that the collective owns. I retrieve the codex, then plant a bomb on the bridge of the boat. As the yacht is exploding and on fire, I make my way off using a smaller motorboat that was docked, and as Kev drives, I fend off idols that are chasing after us. And after getting back to the shore, I rally the entire Saints crew while showing off the codex to boost morale, enough proof that the Saints are here to stay, and with that said, we decided to throw a giant party. As me and the crew are getting ready for the party, a lawyer from Marshall walks in and says that the Saints are a subsidiary of Marshall because of a non-compete clause in my employee contract. And as he explains that and Eli looks over the papers, I shoot the lawyer. Me and the other founders all hop in a car and head to the Marshall HQ and start going on a rampage. I make it to the top floor right before the very top of Marshall HQ, and after defeating a Marshall Gatling gunner, I pop a trophy. And once I get to the top floor instead of Atticus, I find Mira's star. And as we talk, she says that she wants to get rid of Atticus as well, so I agree to help her make Marshall look bad so that he can be voted out. The first step of the plan is to use the flash drive that Mira left at a dead drop for me to hijack an AI tank that Atticus plans to reveal to investors, and to draw it out, I wreak havoc by destroying Marshall vehicles at a shipping yard. And once it shows up, I take control and I drive it around town, causing destruction, which literally tanks the Marshall stock price. We then jump to Marshall boardroom where the board of directors are having a meeting to vote on the fate of Atticus, and ends up in a draw. And so I spin around in the head chair, and you should already know I shoot Atticus, and because I held up my end of the deal, Mira signs the Saints back over to me entirely. With everything involving Marshall sorted out, we are now back to where we started at, with us at the party at the Saints HQ, and after a quick chat outside with the other founders, Denwale shows up, and as we talk, he says he always saw friends as a weakness, but after seeing me and the others, he wants to know what that's like and stabs me in the gut, and after talking down to me and hitting me with a shovel to knock me out, he buries me alive and I pop a trophy. I wake up in a dream state and begin walking through seeing old memories until I walk up to the board game the founders were playing on their last board game night, and I get pulled in, and after beating the game and going through the barn, I wake up in a literal nightmare, and after traversing through my own worst nightmare, I literally dig myself out of my own grave, and as I go through the church, all I see are bodies of Saints and Nawale's men while listening to voicemails from the other founders asking where I am. We then see that the Nawale are holding my friends hostage, and I call him to let him know that I will be coming to end him. I get to the safe house in the desert to re-kit myself, and as I leave, I get jumped by a handful of the Nawale's goons and quickly dispatch them. I head to Silver Gulch, which is where I initially met and arrested Nawale, and get surrounded by more of his goons, and I offer the chance to just tell me what I want to know, which obviously they don't take, so the bullets start flying. I run into the final goon and have this interaction with him.
Dude, I've had a long fucking day. Can we please be reasonable people?
I can't.
You're gonna say you can't tell me because the Nawali will kill you, then I'll say, if you don't tell me, I'll kill you. And we're just gonna be right back to where we started, so let's just skip that
No,
part.
I was gonna say I can put the address in your phone.
Oh. Yeah, no. That'd be super helpful.
You mind unlocking it?
Whoops, sorry about that.
You're a fucking maniac.
Well, you know, I have a lot of practice and pent-up rage.
I hear that.
Parents?
Alimony.
Ah,
Anyway, secret bunker address is in there.
thanks, man.
I'm George, by the way.
You're an all right guy, George. When you wake up, you should stop by the church. The Saints could use a guy with some common sense. Now, let me see if my biometrics still work on this VTOL.
Once I make it to the building in the VTOL, I start destroying the defenses on the outside, and after making it inside, I'm able to get the drop on the Nawale and free my friends. And Nawale is able to regain consciousness, and a small fight between the founders and him ensues, but he makes a run for it, so we start to chase him down, shooting anyone who gets in the way. I make it to the penthouse and have a shootout with the Nawale while he is in an attack helicopter, and I have a quad launcher, and after shooting him down, I meet him on the roof, and we have an old-fashioned cowboy duel to finally put an end to things. And I'm able to be fast on the draw and finally put down the Nawale, and I apparently also went to the school of double tap because instead of letting Nawale succumb to his wounds, I pop him in the head and then unload the rest of the clip into the body. We ended on the roof of the casino with me and the other founders enjoying drinks, looking at the sunset, and then I pop a trophy. Before getting started with the DLC, we have to talk about what happened a year before with Eli. I meet up with Eli after he calls me and tells me that something called the Dust Moot was about to start and that he needs to join a house if he wants to see the best action. After hopping in his car, he explains that the Dust Moot is a citywide LARP event that takes place every year, and as we drive, he asks me to help him because in order to join the house he wants, he needs more XP, and I agree, but first I have to get weapons and armor because...
Thou lookest like a knave in thy garments, and real weapons are forbidden on pain of banishment.
Why are you talking like that?
I'm in character. But never fear, I know the best place to procure weapons and armor.
And yes, before you start questioning it, all the characters attempt to talk like that, but after finding a bunch of cardboard, I'm suited up and ready to take part in the Dust Moot. We arrive in an outpost owned by House Tapeworm, and after taking out the guards already there, we light the beacon on fire and then take out the rest that show up. After handling that, me and Eli head to the fort of House Tapeworm, and after convincing them to let us in, we begin raiding the fort, but after looting all the nearby chests for House Tapeworm's stash of duct tape, Eli says I have to defeat the Great Worm since the stash is probably inside, which it was, and with the tape secured, Fort Kraken for House Sandy Kraken is born. I meet up with Eli and Nina the next day, and he says that the lore master has told him about where to find the Bowel Rod, but once we arrive to where it is located, The keeper of it, Karen, says that Gwen wanted it out of the game, so she dismantled it and that we need to get the parts from House Phoenix if we want to assemble it. And after grabbing all the parts, Nina was able to bring the Balrog back to life, and we used it to take out Phoenix members that had Eli surrounded on a roof. The next day, Eli calls me with news that Castle Kraken is going to be attacked by House Phoenix, so I rush over to help. Once arriving, the Phoenix Harbinger shows up and lets it slip that Gwen is attacking Fort Thunderpump for the Dust Crown. And with that information, I take out all the attackers and start to make it to Fort Thunderpump.
Fort Thunderpump has fallen! The siege is over! Surrender your crown, Dust King!
No way! You failed to do the required damage in the allotted time!
Damn it, Carl, you know I did more than enough damage. Do I need to get a rules check?
The bowel rod? Ah! They're your problem now, Gwendolyn Firebird!
Oh, gods damn it. Armies of the Phoenix, about face! Smite that hell beast and their sandworm too!
Woo! Yeah! Ah!
Once inside Fort Thunderpump, I fight my way through till I meet up with Gwen inside an arena, where she says the crown is rightfully hers, and so we have our final Dustlander duel where I come out victorious. I then head to go claim the crown from the Dust King, and I'm just gonna let this scene play out because it is just peak Saints Row comedy.
No! Please! I'll give you anything! Riches! Power! Just name your price! I come for your crown. You? A min-maxing knave? Never!
The king is dead. Long live me. Move.
So, are you gonna buy anything?
One chocolate milk and a packet of beef jerky.
And with the crown claimed, I pop another trophy. A year later, actually, I'm gonna let the lore master handle this.
Woven into the tapestry of Santo Ileso life are the threads that make up the Dustlands. Each year, we test our mettle in the Dust Moot. This year, all soothsayers and readers of entrails, and honestly everybody else too, foretold that the finalists in the battle for the Dust Crown would be Carlemagne of House Duststorm and Gwendolyn Firebird of House Phoenix. But then onto the scene came a new combatant, Bosonius of House Sandy Kraken. Together with their comrades Elijah the Wise, Ninefer Leadfoot, and DJ Kaviticus, Bosonius didst unleash upon the Dust Moot a surprise assault that led to the death of both Carlemagne the Dust King and Gwendolyn Firebird. The Dust Crown now sits upon the noble brow of Bosonius. House Sandy Kraken lost many warriors in the fight, and House Phoenix yet more. The bloodshed left both unprepared for the next event on the schedule, the coming Great Tourney. 'Twas realized by the leaders of both houses that if either was to have any chance in the tourney, they must unite their houses in the historically problematic but totally genre-appropriate bonds of holy LARP matrimony.
I make it to my wedding venue and see Gwen lying down, and the lore master comes out with the phoenix egg and brings her back to life. As the lore master is talking, he ends up getting shot with a paintball, and I turn around and see someone named the Chill Queen in the rafters, and she commands all her Frostlanders to attack us all. And during the fight, all my friends get taken out, and they also steal the phoenix egg. I begin my fight through the catacombs and make it to the main exit where I protect Gwen as she lockpicks the door, and during the fight, I pop a trophy And as we make it out of the building, Gwen tries to just bail, saying she can rebuild next year, but I remind her that the Chill Queen took her Phoenix egg, so she agrees to help me, and after that, I pop another trophy. The next day of the Dust Fair, me and Gwen go to talk to the Lore Master, but first, we have to get a Speak to the Dead potion. To get that, we need to get 250 tickets by playing different fair games. After getting the potion, I go back to the Lore Master and he tells me the tale.
In the beginning, there was nothing. Then, the 4 founders created the Dustlands, crafting every detail from the stars in the sky to the sands upon the ground. They wrote the rules of blade and gun, of magic and mortality. But disharmony fell upon the founders. One among them cared not for the sanctity of the rules. She sought to sow chaos with her cheesing and munchkining ways. The other 3 cast her out, and lo, she did taketh her ball and leaveth, to found her own LARP chapter in the neighboring lands of Meeker City. A chapter where cheesing and munchkining, and seriously some really OP magic rules, reigned supreme. And there she rules to this day, as the Chill Queen. To protect themselves from her return, the remaining founders each crafted an item of power suited to their house. House Phoenix crafted the egg, which restores life to the departed. House Tapeworm crafted the Bowel Rod, whose mighty roar topples all who oppose it. And House Duststorm crafted the Storm Giant's bones, whose protective magic bolstered their great gate. The founders guarded well these items during their reigns as Dust Monarch. But in time, the founders left this world. One moved, one had kids, and one hurt her back or something. Their conflict with the Chill Queen was forgotten by all. All it would appear, but the Queen herself. She means to avenge herself against those long gone, to take the items meant to defeat her, claim them for herself, and then reclaim the Dustlands. And she has the first already.
And after the story ends, I pop a trophy. With the information that the Chill Queen wants all the items of power, a convoy is arranged to get the Bowel Rod to safety with the help of House Tapeworm, and obviously as we progress, we get ambushed by the Frostlanders. Unfortunately, during a massive ambush on a dirt road, we send the Bowel Rod forward, but it was all a trap, and now the Chill Queen has 2 of the 3 items, and with that realization, I pop another trophy. The next day, me and Gwen make our way to Fort Thunderpump to warn about the Chill Queen, but it seems that they have taken a stance of neutrality, so we decide that we will just have to steal the giant's bones, and during my self-turn gunfight for the bones, I pop a trophy. And after making it to the Duststorm throne room, the new head tells us that the former king stole the bones and took them out of the game. So we head to his house, and after finding it, we see that he has sided with the Chill Queen and has already given the bones to her. And with that information, I decide that it's time for House Sandy Kraken to have its own item of power. I make my way back to the fair and begin the ritual to create my own weapon of power by first awakening the dragon, and then fly over to the blacksmith to defend him from Frostlanders as he builds my item of power. And with the first few waves defeated, the blacksmith finishes my banhammer, which is legit just Thor's hammer Mjolnir, and for banning the last of the Frostlander stragglers, I pop a trophy. The next day I arrive at the fair and Gwen tells me that the Frostlanders are preparing to siege the fair, and so to boost morale I give a speech and we all prepare for battle. And as me, Gwen, and the few troops we have are fighting off the waves of attackers, my friends show up in new character builds to help even the odds.
Bosonius, on thy left! Eli Athalis!
Hanine of the Purple!
Thane Bin of Clan Makev!
And with their help, I'm able to fend off the attack, and so me and my friends and Gwen take the battle to the Chill Queen. And after a very hectic fight, I'm able to defeat the Chill Queen, but she used the Phoenix Egg to revive and take a cheap shot on me, but Gwen saves me, and using my banhammer, I finally and truly defeat her and pop the last trophy of the DLC. While out doing things you do in Santo Ileso, Kev calls me talking about $1 million post on the Wanted app, and obviously, I'm gonna go after that bounty. So I make my way to Sunshine Springs to get to the dead drop. Once I grab the phone, the client says he wants me to take out a Hollywood producer, and as he hangs up, I think to myself that the voice is familiar, but I ignore that and head to the gun range that the target is at, and once arriving, I fight through the other would-be assassins till I find the target and quickly dispatch him. And the client tells me to come to his house. Once I get to the house, I find out that the client is a movie star named Chris Hardy, and when he offers me my payment, it turns out to just be an autographed headshot of himself. He then says that he can't pay me in cash because all the money he has is tied up in a passion movie project of his. And after I continue to press him about paying me for the contract, I get sucker punched by one of his security guards and thrown over the railing of his house. After waking up in the river, I call the other founders and tell them what happened, and then say that we are going to rob him to make up for what he owes. And after the call ends, I pop a trophy. Once with the other founders, we go over the plan for the heist.
Okay, let's review phase 1.
Hardy's auctioning off his movie props here at the Sunshine Springs Hotel and Spa.
The goods will be kept in the vault, which is secured by a voice and face recognition lock.
To get to the vault, We have to get past a state-of-the-art laser detection grid.
Which is monitored from this control center off the main ballroom.
Which will be swarming with Marshal Rent-A-Cops.
Fortunately, Hardy's provided us with the perfect plan.
We're gonna steal the plot of Heist and the Hazardous Seven.
So, just like the movie, I'm gonna walk in the front door holographically disguised as Chris Hardy.
I know a fence who snagged a Marshall hologram generator.
We'll modify it to create a perfect holographic disguise. That'll get you in the door, through security, and into the vault with no one the wiser.
And that's when we start phase 2.
The trick is, in order to make a foolproof hologram, we need live capture of his face and voice.
Fortunately, my tattoo artist works a day job at Escobarista Cafe in Sunshine Springs. She says Hardy has lunch there every Thursday.
We know where he's gonna be. Let's go get what we need.
The first step is having to get a scan of Hardy's face for the hologram. After getting all the different angles, I pop a trophy. I make it to the church and the entire team prepares for the heist to end all heists. Once arriving at the party in my disguise, I make my presence known, then proceed further into the event and let Eli in through a back entrance. I then knock out the guards in the security room and have Eli take it over and then head down to the vault, and as I approach, I get held at gunpoint by marshal agents because Hardy knew I would try something. But then the vault door gets blown out from the inside, and with Kevin and his help, we grab all the loot and then toss it into a getaway car. I then begin to fight my way through marshal agents on my way to the roof. I steal a marshal attack helicopter and protect Kevin and Nina as they make their getaway through the streets, and to top off this heist, we pull some literal Fast and Furious shit and catch the car with a magnet that is attached to the helicopter. And once I make it back to the church, I give Hardy a call just to tell him to consider payment in full plus interest, and with that, I pop the last trophy of the DLC. And now for the cleanup, where I fully established myself as the top dog in Santo Ileso, and in doing so got these following trophies: Wet Work for completing a job on the Wanted app, Tune Up for customizing a vehicle, Quality Time for completing all the loyalty missions, A Young Empire for unlocking Criminal Empire Tier 2, Power Players for unlocking Criminal Empire Tier 3, Work Ethic for completing a criminal venture, Chaos Tamer for defeating all the members of the Idols Collective, Armor Piercing for killing a tank driver with the Quantum Aperture, Challenge Accepted for completing 25 challenges, Untouchable for completing 10 crimes of opportunity, The Professional for completing all the jobs on the Wanted app, The Side Job for completing a side hustle, Smooth Moves for buying 2 emotes, Master of Santo Ileso for unlocking Criminal Empire Tier 4, Bonus Round for destroying a car with the Pungus Sanctus Del, The Mechanic for fully upgrading a vehicle, The Spins for performing a barrel roll, Statement Pieces for customizing a weapon, a vehicle, clothing item in my skin with a cutting edge material, Closet Space for owning 100 different pieces of clothing, Neighborly for completing 5 districts in Santo Ileso, It's a Bird for completing all the wingsuit challenges, Jack of all trades for acquiring every perk, Heard You Like Wheels for unlocking all vehicle special upgrades, Fiesta Time for hitting a launch pinata with the pinata stick, a card named Simone for performing a quadruple backflip with super air control, free refills for refilling the boost bar 3 times in a row with infinite boost, Tourist for completing the photo scavenger hunt, community outreach for completing 10 districts in Santo Ileso, Always Be Hustling for completing all the side hustles, Shopping Speed for buying 1 item from every store, The Collector for obtaining 85 items in the collectibles app, We Could Go Home, or for singing karaoke with the Saints, a Golden Age for unlocking Criminal Empire Tier 5, All Mine for completing all 15 districts in Santo Ileso, Prankster for pranking a co-op partner, and finally Completionist, which is the Platinum. Were the characters in this as enjoyable and memorable as the ones from the original quadrilogy? In my opinion, no. But did it live up to the legacy that was left to it by the original? Again, in my opinion, yes it did. This game gave us all the weird and strange things that Saints Row was known for, from insurance fraud to mayhem, from the strange outfits like I legit got to be a swarm of bees, to some of the strange weapons like the off-brand Thor's hammer. And through all of that, you saw that we got the Platinum Trophy. But now it's time to move forward in this little mini series of GTA likes that I'm going through. But I can't tell you what is yet to come because I'd be breaking Omerta.